So this is the old, or the new town hall. Up there you can see some figurines. And here's this statue here. This is to commemorate the Catholics starting to win the war against the Protestants. In the southern Germany was Catholic, northern Germany was Protestant. Up top they have a little spindle thing where two knights joust. Ludwig had this huge party where they offered beer to everybody, and everybody drank beer, and when they woke up, they none of them was sick. So the story goes. So basically became the beer capital of the world. Back during the bubonic plague, people in Munich thought that it was the cats. Cats were associated with witchcraft. So they killed all the cats. And actually what happened was the rat population exploded. And as a result, more and more people got sick because the plague was being spread by rats. So then they had to go to France and beg France for their cats. And France gave them a whole shitload of cats. So this is the famous Hofbrauhaus. This is where Mozart drank and Adolf Hitler planned his rise to power. This is where they would all go out drinking right after World War I. And then they formed the Nazi Party, the Workers' Party. So here I am, it's the Royal Opera, and this is the residence where all of the royalty of the past and nobility, and now even the leaders, kind of work out of and where they used to reside. And that's the opera. It's said Ludwig II, he was a little bit, they called him crazy, but now he's kind of a hero, especially among the gay community. He was in love with Wagner. And Wagner would
turn left onto Residenstrasse.
And he would basically write love letters to him. Wagner kind of wrote him back, but it's unknown whether or not he reciprocated the love. It was more like he was worried about losing any sponsorships and funding. But I like to think that Ludwig at least got some positive response from the man he loved. This alleyway's significant, but I gotta show you this area first. This is Odeonplatz, and this is where Hitler did many of his major speeches here in Munich. It's also when he was first jailed after World War I for insurrection, given a very minimal penalty. I think like 13 months. When he basically, in that first uprising, there were 16 people that were killed. It's actually 15 protesters and one innocent bystander. And Hitler basically, let me just turn around. Hitler basically memorialized them as heroes when he came into power after he got out of jail. He would do his speeches right from there. This is an exact replica of a structure that's in Florence. And Hitler was into that kind of architecture. And right here is where he had a memorial, where people, as they walk by, would have to salute. But a lot of people didn't want to salute. A lot of people hated Hitler. And so what they did was, instead of walking by down the block this way, they would go this way to avoid having to salute. If you notice this is a memorial for all those that had to walk through this path. What happened was the Gestapo eventually found out, put in windows, and took notes of all the people taking the shortcut so they could avoid having to salute when they went by the square. And so they all paid a call and wound up in Dachau concentration camp and dead. I went there today, by the way. Now, the reason why this is called Odeonplatz, Odeon is for music, concerts, and in Greek. And so there's a lot of music festivals that happen here, but also this is where a lot of bands played and concerts were held for the Third Reich and Hitler. This here is the residence garden. That's a memorial to all those that were killed of the Third Reich taking over. So this is the building where the Gestapo lived. Is all of the windows that were in the back of this building that were jail cells for when the Gestapo knocked on your door, brought you here. And that's where they interrogated you, behind this building. Just like those people that they would take note of that took the shortcut in the alleyway. So it looks like Königsplatz is closed today. I was here yesterday, but they're doing construction. But the buildings are neoclassical style, and right in the middle of this square here, where you see that truck coming in, that's where they had the book burnings. The Nazi Party had the book burnings. This is all where Hitler spoke from there. Book burnings are right there. And over here, I don't think I can even go down this block. This sucks. I want you to show you Hitler's office. Right here. Turn it out a little bit. So that was Hitler's office. And basically, if you see, I'm going to stop here so you can see this. So if you see up there, the filled holes, that's where you would see the eagle coming out of the balcony where he spoke to people and took photo ops. That big eagle that you would see, they actually took it off of here. And now it is a theater school. Okay, so that's it. As you can see, there's a lot of older buildings here. Most of Germany was bombed, as you know. And the various cities had their choice. They can make their own decision on whether or not to build it new or build it like it was old. Replica. So a lot of these buildings are exact replicas. Munich decided to build back their city like it was, whereas Berlin decided to build back its city newer, obviously. Oh, I just remembered an addendum to the book burning. Right in that same spot, I wish I could have gotten closer, but right in that same spot in Königsplatz, where the books were burned. 1 day out of every year, the people in Munich go and they have public readings there of all the books that were banned, which is pretty cool, I think.
Turn left onto...
This is again the residence, the palace in the city. I showed you the kind of garden before. This is the other side of it. It is absolutely enormous. This is the courtyard where they're having corona tests, but just as a side note, this is the largest palace in all of Europe that's located in a city. So this is like one huge block, like really big block. And it goes the entire perimeter, as you can see this way. I mean, it's just vast. It's vast. This is also these painted archways. Those painted archways it's actually the style of neoclassicism. There's a word for them, but I can't remember what it is. But when they were originally made, they were painted on, and they gave the impression that it was 3D. But that's what they did with the buildings back then. You can see it in here too, with everyone's getting a corona test. So this is where the SS made their offices in the palace, same as they did in the palace in Poland that I ran through. Here's the opera again. Ludwig, heading that way to that tower. And now I'm going to take you to the church. There's a lot of history behind it and the devil's footprint inside of it. And I'll go inside and I'll see if I can get a picture of it for you. Alright, I'm going to stop here. Explain this church. Let me get a big view of it. Alright, so this church here, it's not very ornate, and it's because they didn't have a lot of money at the time. This architect begged one of the Ludwigs, I don't remember which one, to build it. And he built what you see, with the exception he left off the top because he drank his money before he finished it. But he did what he did in 20 years, which was unheard of. Most cathedrals and churches of this size usually took a generation or two to build. There's some churches that took 200 years to build back then. This thing took 20 years to build. So everyone was so amazed that it took so little time, they were convinced that the devil had his hand in the building of this church. And inside, when you first walk in, there's a part where it's supposed to be the devil's footprint. I'll bring you there right now. It's a pretty tall church. I put my mask on. there it is. And there's the church. And I determined it's the same size as my foot. So the devil's footprint is a 10.5. Just so you know. I don't know what that is in European size. But the devil's footprint is a 10.5. Back to the run. A brief stop down this busy street, back to the square. For one of my favorite sections, it's the market, right near my hotel. And you go in here. It's absolutely wonderful. This market's every day. And there's always a lot of beer drinking at all hours of the day. Munich.